Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to keep us positive, to avoid lazy negativity, we've decided to make this episode a bit of a drinking game.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime we say anything negative at all about anything, each other, this, life, Dune 2 for the third week in a row, you're going to hear this sound.
Ooh, fingers near the buzzer.
You have to buzz. That's the gig. We're going to play that sound. And that means that we're taking a drink for being negative. And we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass. We're going to go back in time to where getting a right thrashing from a teacher was a laughing matter. Not the 70s, 1939.
Cheers.
Get down over that chair!
It was funny that he was like, oh, now he's grown into his authoritative status as a teacher. He now whips the boys. Way to go. Way to grow. We're going to be talking about...
But he's melancholy about it.
He's not thrilled about it. He still sits him afterwards and asks to be his friend while his ass is on fire.
It's like when your parents used to lie to you. It's like, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. No, motherfucker, I'm getting my ass smacked.
I disagree, parents. That's right, people. We're talking about 1939's Goodbye, Mr. Chips. The random year generator, spun by Dave, landed on 1939, which is a ridiculously incredible film year, widely regarded as perhaps the best of all time. More about that later. And we decided, instead of talking about some of the big ones that I think a lot of other people in podcasts have spent plenty of time talking about, we decided to go with this one, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, which was a popular novella in 1934. And apparently the novella and this movie were so good, they decided to turn it into a movie musical in 1969, starring Peter O'Toole. That was 2.5 hours of singing about school. And they turned it into a miniseries in the 80s during the BBC miniseries Reign of Terror of the 80s. So obviously the source material is great. We decided to go back and watch this film. We're going to give you some context of what was going on in 1939. After we get through some gripes, perhaps a mini review or two, and then finish up our episode with what you've been watching and a teaser of next week. Did I miss anything, boys? Anything you want to talk about?
No, that's great, man. Good job.
Thank you so much. John, do we have some sponsors on the show?
I think we do have a couple of sponsors. First and foremost, Mr. Carlos Barroso is our beer sponsor. You can find that guy's handle, Instagram, in the show notes, cbarroso.beer. Give that gentleman a follow. Go like, love, check out all the beer making shenanigans. We also have a artist in residence by the name of Dasein. That's Dasein, D-A-S-E-I-N. They provide all the music on this episode. This is what?
Whose house is he at the moment?
Who's fucking...
he's our artist in residence because he just sleeps on our couches.
It's the proverbial residence. You know what I mean? Anyway, fucking go to the show notes, find that music available on all the usual music streaming platforms. Like, love, listen, enjoy. You're welcome.
That's right. So I definitely have a gripe, and I don't have to talk about Dune 2 for the second time, or for the third week in a row, but I did see it again. Dave, did you see anything, or did you want to have any gripes for this week? Anything you want to complain about?
I didn't get to see anything. I was in production this week for a shoot.
Working professional.
Nice.
Yeah, nah. But I did actually take some time out to go to the Cine Gear Expo in New York.
Oh.
Down at Industry City in Brooklyn.
You were rock hard.
It was, oh my God. Yeah, I walked in that hall and I just wanted to talk to everybody, but they kept staring at it and it was awkward. And it was
crikey.
That's for John too. Fuck the
Sure.
Nice. No, it was a good time. Good time had by all. A lot of seminars. I met some of the guys from Local 600 over here in New York. That was fun.
Local
Are
600.
they about to strike?
Cinematographers Union.
And you're local 1 is
Theatrical.
live theatrical
and stage employees.
Yeah.
What are the 558 in between?
I don't know. I mean, there's a ton of them. Like it goes by like if local 1 is like basically Manhattan, Broadway, whatever, and then you go out into the boroughs, and there's a different local for the boroughs, and then you go elsewhere.
Right.
Wait, Dave, you're our resident cinematographer. Are the cinematographers going to strike, or are there any issues that brought up?
Nope.
Are your lips just sealed because you don't want to spill some beans?
No beans.
Are they a part of IATSE?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been hearing rumors that they're thinking about doing it here. But I mean...
Are they sister unions or are they
They're not going to tell me.
That's true.
Yeah, sure.
Are they sister unions or is it like under the umbrella of IATSE?
It's under the umbrella of IATSE.
I'm learning so much about the unions here on the show.
Me too.
Unions.
Did not expect the 1939 episode to be so informative. Look at this.
So yeah, that's all I have.
What upset you this week, Jeff?
What
do you have?
Did you? Okay, so I do have a gripe, and I did see Dune 2 again, but I have a gripe. Okay. So we're gonna set the 1 minute gripe timer so that I don't just rant for the whole show. So I'm gonna keep it to 1 minute. Whenever you're ready. I have a burp though. Shit. Okay. You shouldn't be allowed to book the middle seats of a 3 in a row in the 6th row center of a movie that's selling at 90% capacity. All right? I get it. You're alone on a Friday night at 7 p.m. and you want to see Dune 2 by yourself while everybody else is having a good time. But that's okay. You know, at a bar, it's really poor bar etiquette, but the bartender will just ask you to move over to seat the happy couple who's in love and not alone in those 2 seats next to you. I mean, Dave even saw Sonic 2 by himself and sat right in front of a whole bunch of kids opening weekend. And he didn't tell them about his candy truck. So I think you can handle yourself. But AMC needs to reserve. But AMC needs to reserve the right to basically do what airlines shamelessly do, which is say, no, get the fuck out of there. We got to see 2 people. It's prime real estate. You can't take the middle seat. It's Dune 2, Friday night, 7 p.m. You can't do it. You can't have empty seats next to you if the whole fucking theater is at capacity. Move the fuck over and let 2 people sit in those middle seats.
Yeah, who the fuck do you think you are, Mark from the Matt and Mark movie show?
That's funny. I sent them a gripe. I sent them a gripe. About something similar because really quick, I know I went over time, but you brought it up. For some reason, the Dolby at Cinema 1 has 4 handicap accessible seats that are like like dead center with a huge aisle. And again, it's amazing. I'm not poo-pooing that per se, but with movies that are coming out, the only seats that are left are handicap accessible seats. So there's like 12 seats available, but you're kind of afraid to take them. You don't really know what the rules are. And I certainly don't want to take a seat.
What are they going to do? Like give them shitty seats? They can't walk out.
No. Okay. I really didn't mean to.
Jesus.
I really did.
Christ.
But I don't mean to be negative. But like at the time of the movie, I do wonder like should they open up some of them or something. But
I felt dirty about that one.
More importantly, behind us. Right where Dave, right where Mark sat, those little 4 in a row, and he loves that seat. It's dead center. It's like perfect seating. These 2 people sat in the 2 middle seats and left the ones on the outside open. And so these 2 girls came up and said, hey, do you mind moving over so we can sit in there? We're all the way off to the side. And I'm not kidding. They said, how about you fuck off and let us sit in the seats we paid for? And so these 2 seats were wide open and they put their jackets on them. So you have the 2, like literally the 4 middle seats are yes, handicap accessible seats. And I'm not going to question, these people seemed able-bodied, but I have no idea. But it's just the fact that they didn't say like, no, we can't or anything. It was just really strange that they were using the seats next to them as coat racks.
Don't be aggressive at the movies, folks.
That's
like you remember back in like I don't know whether you guys remember, but like in the 80s, you pull that shit in the theater, you get your fucking lights punched out. And maybe that's coming back if these people are going to behave like that in the theater.
It was weird.
That's terrible.
I'm not calling for violence, but fucking punch them.
I didn't know you could book. So they literally bought an extra seat.
I don't think so. I just think they knew that nobody would take the singles.
The singles,
like 2 singles on the outside of them.
And the other 2 are empty.
Well, and also the Dolby seating is in pairs. So if you're with your significant other, you have like the 2 and then the 2, and so it's like not that you need to lift the armrest up, but it's just you're a little closer. It's a little bit more friendly. And then the drinks are on the outside of you theoretically, so you're not going to spill on each other or whatever. So they are in theory sitting on like the double blocked armrest with the drink, in the middle of between them.
Okay, no, I see where this is going now. He just needed extra space between his mate and the Dune popcorn bucket.
Dave, fucking getting us going today.
Is my dick in a box?
Guys, since we're seeing Dune 2 again, I'm going to say it. I wasn't going to say it. I liked it less this time. I think they lost some mysticism that they had in the first movie. I don't think it was enough depth. I think it was a lot of world building, but last when Paul was questioning the depth of his powers, I feel like now he was questioning I don't know. I didn't feel it as much. And maybe what John was saying last week about the language and really feeling the world, maybe that would have helped, but it didn't seem deep enough. It didn't seem like the elves. It didn't seem like, I don't know. I lost some of that depth. I don't know why. I don't know.
I need to see it again. Brandon saw it this past week and he liked it more. He kind of had the opposite experience with you, but I know I got to get back in there and see.
Okay.
I want to love it. I want to love it, love it, love it, love it.
I wanted more depth. I wanted when he saw that shit. I wanted him to turn into Bran, but also who fucks. Bran who fucks. Okay.
Oh my God.
Are you guys ready to talk about 1939? Or is there anything else that we left? Any other skin on the bone?
I don't think
Skin
so,
on the boat,
man.
meat on the boat, skin on the... Fuck it, man. God damn it. Okay.
Skin on the meat on the bone.
All right. We're getting into our featured segment early for us.
Which is
I'll
good
say.
because we're already 11 buzzers in.
Yeah, and
Jesus.
who's on that, Dave? All right, friends, let's talk about the film year 1939 before we head over to Goodbye, Mr. Chips. I think this one is pretty obvious because it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. But guess, as always, what is the number one highest grossing movie of 1939?
Gone with the wind.
Yo, these numbers are so fucked. It's like, I don't know what to believe. I feel like they're just guesses and estimates. The movie ran for decades and who knows? But yes, by far Gone with the Wind, not even close. So according to these numbers, which again, you can't even possibly like trust, what do you think came in second? And it seems like it was actually pretty far and away, like what would be the second movie in the top 10?
It's not Wizard of Oz?
It's according to Box Office Mojo, Wizard of Oz is technically number 5 because this is re-releases. So in its initial run, it only made
Right.
$2.04 million, which came in at 5, just behind Babes in Arms.
I guess
Yeah,
My
it made
other
all its money
two-
when people discovered drugs in the 60s.
Gunga Din?
No, it was actually Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which came in at number 2.
Mr. Smith.
But
nice.
let's take the money. I don't even feel like reading the top 10, although it is interesting to see Dodge City and The Rains Came and Drums Along the Mohawk and stuff into this. But let's just put it this way. I'm gonna reframe 1939 as this. The AFI 100, which Dave hates, and honestly, maybe we should all hate it, but it was the idea was there. 100 years, 100 movies. What were the best
You know,
100
one of-
movies?
I discovered one of my problems with the AFI 100 because they released the AFI 400 that were nominated for the 100. It's like, just pick one fucking list.
They actually redid the list too. So in the AFI 100,
Stop trying to make yourself relevant.
so in
Fucking
theory,
hate those lists.
so in theory, one movie per year, right? So if any year has 2 movies, that means that one year didn't have a movie just by math, right? 1939 had 5 movies in the AFI top 100, by far the most. I don't think any other year had more than 3. They are in order. Gone with the Wind came in at number 4. The Wizard of Oz came in at number 6. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington came in at 29. Stagecoach comes in at 63, and Wuthering Heights comes in at 73. Now, Stagecoach and Wuthering Heights did not make the cut when they redid the list in 2007 and included movies like Do the Right Thing and The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. But 5 in the top 100, 5 in the top 75, really. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's basically the year of just incredible movies. Wuthering Heights, by the way, of course, has Laurence Olivier, who's like in his early 30s, starring in this awesome fucking movie. Of Mice and Men, the OG, comes out this year. A Young Mr. Lincoln, Love Affair, Jesse James, Midnight, were some other highlights. The Oscars were very interesting. Guys, listen to this. Best Director category. Victor Fleming will win for Gone with the Wind, who, by the way, died, I think, during production. And so supposedly our director, Sam Wood, came in to help out finish production there. Victor Fleming wins for Gone with the Wind.
That long.
Yes, seriously. Like, there are so many people
Honestly,
to credit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just listened to a whole book on old Hollywood, and like a lot of directors directed bits and pieces of Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Like several people, and you've heard of all of them.
Yeah.
Because they were all just contract directors.
It was the original anthology film.
It's kind of crazy.
Kind of. Okay,
Anyway.
so Victor Fleming wins. Our boy, Sam Wood of Goodbye, Mr. Chips, is in there. Frank Capra, John Ford, and William Wyler. Is that the best
Yeah, it
best
is.
director category of all time? They're all winners except for Sam Wood, the director of our movie. The other ones won multiple.
So
Frank
that
Capra
had
won 3,
Directors
Ford
Guild.
won 4, Wyler won 3. In Best Actor, our
Crazy.
boy Robert Donat for Goodbye, Mr. Chips. That's the solo win for Goodbye, Mr. Chips wins, beating out Clark Gable, Laurence Olivier, Jimmy Stewart, and Mickey Rooney, who was 19, the youngest ever Best Actor nominee for Babes in Arms. I mean, just legends. And these are all good performances too. It's not just like Frank Sinatra, who like mob bought his way into an Oscar nomination. Like Jimmy Stewart, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Shit. It's actually kind of funny that our boy won. If you really,
honestly, yeah, that is shocking to think about.
He was only 34.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Stewart is.
The other wins. Vivien Leigh wins her first of 2 Oscars for Gone with the Wind. Her second one, guys, do you know?
The other half of Gone with the Wind, part 2.
John was right. Streetcar Named Desire. That's right. For playing Blanche Dubois. Best Supporting Actor goes to Thomas Mitchell from Stagecoach, and Best Supporting Actress goes to Hattie McDaniel, which very famously is the first African-American win at the Academy Awards for Gone with the Wind. Yep, Hattie McDaniel. Shout out. And Wizard of Oz will win Best Score and will win Best Song for Over the Rainbow. And a couple other things that are really interesting. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington won Best Story, while the Best Screenplay goes to Gone with the Wind. So Best Story sounds like you had a really good idea. It wasn't quite Gone with the Wind, but it was pretty interesting.
But so many
they had a lot of weird categories. Yeah. They had a lot of weird categories. Also, Jimmy Stewart had another movie that came out this year called It's a Wonderful Life. Wait. It's a Wonderful... Shit. I fucked up this joke. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful... Shit. It's a Wonderful... God damn it. What the fuck is this name of this Jimmy Stewart movie? It's another It's a Wonderful something, but it's not It's a Wonderful Life. God damn it. Fuck, man. My stenography skills have fucked.
It's a wonderful drink, dickhead.
God damn it. Also, this is one of my favorite. We're almost done.
I don't know if you watch this on YouTube, has anyone noticed that Jeff is pulling drinks from either side of his camera?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. for continuity. This is one of my favorite stats of this film year. Million Dollar Legs is a 1939 American comedy film starring Betty Grable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The film has no relation to the W.C. Fields movie from 7 years earlier, also entitled Million Dollar Legs. So that's right. The second Million Dollar Legs movie came out in 1939, and they decided they needed to make a point of putting this into the stats list here.
It's also my stripper name.
All about the games. Dave's stripper name there. And I'll wrap it up with some world events going on this year. 1939. I feel like a couple things happened in the world in 1939.
A few things seem to be happening.
Yeah, I decided to take the Holocaust, World War II stuff out. But one thing that I did notice is that we keep talking about Germany invading Poland. A whole lot of other countries said,
world.
No shit. Thank you. It's a Wonderful World. Jimmy Stewart, 1939. Not to be confused with the torture Christmas horror film of 1946 about a man who really wants to commit suicide and leave his family with nothing.
Just let me off myself, please.
A couple other things. The Spanish Civil War. Shout out to the Devil's...
You're not going to stop me.
The Devil's Backbone is a film that we talked about in the past. Devil's Backbone. But the Spanish Civil War happened this year. Grapes of Wrath, the book, came out this year. John Steinbeck. It was the first book ever published on Viking Press. So if you are reading Viking Press at any point, thank Grapes of Wrath in 1939. Wow. Billie Holiday records and releases the first ever civil rights song, Strange Fruit. The Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown opens for the first time. New York Municipal Airport, which was later renamed to LaGuardia Airport. LaGuardia Airport is dedicated. And this is important for now because LaGuardia Airport for 4 years in a row, about 10 years ago, was the worst airport in the country. And last year was voted the #1 airport in the country. It literally went from last to first.
They ran a good campaign.
Yeah, it took all of our goddamn money, fucked our traffic for 8 years, but God, that fountain looks good. And the first ever rabbit born from artificial insemination is exhibited to the world.
What the fuck?
And of all animals, a rabbit that has no issue reproducing.
Why the rabbit, dude?
Rabbit has no issue reproducing. That's it.
That is so funny.
1939. Any other films jump out to you that I didn't mention? I didn't mention too many.
Ernst Lubitsch's Ninochka.
Ninochka, yeah.
Should talk about that one. And then maybe... I think Gunga Din is probably worth mentioning as well. I think... what's his name? George Stevens directed that.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Might be one of the last like comedies and adventure films he directed before him and the other 4 directors went across the Atlantic to film and document World War II as a part of the director's regiment, and then they came back and all of them made very sincere dramas for the rest of their life.
Interesting. Ninochka stars Greta Garbo, by the way, the great Greta Garbo.
That is Ernst Lubitsch, right? Did I fuck that up?
Who directed it?
Yeah.
Ninochka was obviously directed by Ernst Lubitsch. Yeah, you're right.
Ernst Lubitsch. And maybe the last one I'll just throw out there.
Written by Billy Wilder, by the way. Co-written by Billy Wilder.
Yeah, and he was obsessed with Lubitsch. The Rules of the Game. We talked about maybe watching that. I still have never seen that one. It's supposed to be a great movie as well. It's just this year is just kind of crazy. And Dave actually sent us God, I don't want to search too hard for it, but you sent us an article a couple weeks before the Oscars that was like some of the greatest years of, is 2024 one of the great years, and there are several mentions of 1939 and 1940s Oscars, 1977's, 1960. What were some of the other years?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the only thing I've sent John that he ever read.
I usually read you. I don't comment on what you guys send me, but I always take a glance. Jeff sent us something yesterday that said Mrs. Sprout said that all the people need to fucking grow up that are obsessed with Harry Potter, and I could not agree with her more, dude. I still love those. I still love that shit.
Most of the people that are obsessed with Harry Potter have grown up.
Yeah, her exact
stop
quote.
Having fucking say it.
Her exact quote. She did say they should grow up, and she said, "Shouldn't they be over that by now?"
Shouldn't they be over that by now? There was a great line in there where she said, "When I hear about people asking me to come make special guest appearances at Harry Potter themed weddings, I just think about what are they going to do on the wedding night must be a strange night. Like, if they're still that childish and obsessed with like children's things, like
Expecto Erectus."
Wait, to segue into our film really quickly though, try to tell me that J.K. Rowling didn't rip off a lot of Goodbye Mr. Chips. I feel like there are Harry Potter quotes all over the place in this. The Morgan with the robes. The Morgan with the robes. Oversized robes, shaggy hair. Must be a Morgan. It's like totally like Snape to the Weasleys.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Or Malfoy.
As we get into this film, as we get into talking about it, I did want to just point out and kind of say, like, every movie you've ever seen that deals with some kind of boarding school scenario, like this might be the granddaddy of them, because I'm sure some of that just comes with the territory. There are certain cliches and tropes. I didn't go to boarding school, so I don't know, but I'm sure there are cliches and tropes that are just unavoidable, and that's why they seem to pop up in every single movie or TV show that has to do with that kind of school. Even the few episodes of Wednesday that I watched still had like some things, that are just, you just can't escape them. But this one seemed to really lay the groundwork for, you wouldn't have your dead poets, you wouldn't have Emperor's Club, you wouldn't have Hogwarts, you wouldn't have, there was another one I thought of that was like really right on the nose for all the, maybe even holdovers.
What is it with the British as well, and nobody has fucking first names anymore?
They all are the last names.
I kind of love that. The last names, I kind of love that, dude. Let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's go.
All right. Well, I'll give you the pitch very, very subtly. I want to tell everybody a little bit about the director, but I'm going to wait for it. I want us to really.
I kind of.
I want to slurp everybody into the episode before we start talking about the director here, who is Sam Wood, of course. Sam Wood. Some of the funniest shit I read in this stuff. It's so good. This, as I said, is based on the 1934 novella of the same name by James Hilton, who is semi-autobiographical tale. He said he talked about his father, but then when the headmaster of his boarding school died, after being the headmaster of 30 years, he did admit at the ceremonies, he did write and I think speak and say, yes, actually a lot of what we wrote about in Goodbye Mr. Chips was inspired by the headmaster that he had growing up, so semi-autobiographical.
Nice.
3 different writers were credited with the screenwriting, which probably becomes a studio thing of, your script sucks, how about you? Your script sucks, how about you? Okay, all 3 of you wrote it, and they were all nominated for an Oscar. As I said, Robert did not win Best Oscar. And Greer Garson, this is her first ever film. She was an actress, a play actress, of course, a theater actress in London on the West End. She did some, I think she actually did cross over with Olivier. I think they did a Noel Coward together in the 30s. She's fucking awesome. She's older than she looks in this movie. She's like in her 30s already, which is pretty old for like a Hollywood person to be in her first film. But she was a real seasoned actress, and they needed somebody with British citizenship being cast out of LA and this kind of thing. So anyway.
That's crazy that she would... This is her first movie?
It's her first movie, yeah.
1939, she would win the Oscar for Mrs. Miniver in 1944's Oscars. So I guess it was either the 45 awards or the 44 awards for 43 or 44. I can't remember, but only 3 or 4 years passed. Wow. Damn.
She was nominated. She is tied with Bette Davis for being nominated for 5 consecutive Oscars for the actress categories. And she was also nominated for this. So yeah, so from 1941 to 1945, she was nominated for an Oscar. 5 years in a row.
Badass, dude.
She's fucking awesome. But yeah, and she turned down
you don't
a
hear
lot of small roles.
Greers these days. You guys thinking about naming your daughter Greer?
Greer has her first name, by the way, not a last name. Greer Garson. Greer Garson.
I love it. That's a great name.
So good. Her next film, second film, she plays Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice opposite Laurence Olivier. You want to talk about fucking pressure?
God damn.
You talk about pressure. Okay, I'm going to give you the pitch.
Well, what should I do next?
I'm going to give you the pitch from IMDb, and then I'm going to send it on your way. An aged teacher. That's what they say in England, right?
When you finish, I have a question.
An aged teacher and former headmaster of a boarding school recalls his career and personal life over the decades. Come on. Anyway, he falls asleep at his retirement party, and in his sleep, he dreams about all the highlights of his career before he dies. Anyway, goodbye, Mr. Smith. Shit. Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Damn it, the drinks are starting to hit. The drinks are real. 25 minutes. That's how long it takes.
You can do it, dude.
Goodbye, Mr. Chips, 1939. What do you guys think? What do you guys feel?
First of all, I have a question. On IMDb, it was listed as 2 directors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was the only one that was nominated for anything. So that second director, I don't know, Sidney Franklin.
That's a fight.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, oftentimes back then, I think studios back then, and I think this was made by not one of the 5 here, right? I can't remember who made this, but most of the time back then there weren't
MGM.
There was contract directors, so there was really like they were just putting a picture together and somebody was assigned something. So Sam may have gotten fucking sick for a week and this other guy came in and directed a little bit, but he's not credited. Or he wasn't credited that year. Now he's maybe credited, so who fucking knows?
Okay.
Speaking of
Dave,
credits,
what'd you think, man?
Damn it, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
What did I think?
Was it funny? Was what you were gonna say funny?
No. Well,
Okay,
Greer
Dave.
Garson's performance was under 25 minutes, but she was put in the lead actress category. She was a supporting actress, so I don't think I've ever.
You're the only woman in the movie. I think you automatically become.
I don't think we've ever category frauded somebody. Oh yes, we have. We have Michelle
30s.
Williams.
Dude.
Okay. Dave.
Yeah, let's do it, Dave.
I was a little nervous about this one because you know how I feel about old movies.
I do know how you feel. You're like, oh, black and white, lists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great new
You
footage.
can feel your prostate whenever an old movie comes up.
It was. Well, I got to do something. This is a delight. This movie is an absolute fucking delight. Like, I was rapt. I wanted to know all about this fucking guy because they set him up so well at the beginning. And his performance throughout the course of it is literally what holds it all together. He gives one of the most phenomenal performances I've seen in a long time. Like, this guy just carries this whole movie. And it was absolutely compelling. It holds up. I feel like people wanting to rent this and watch it would not suffer for it at all in the modern age. And also, like they said, it's got references that you're going to recognize from stuff and, other people who've seen this movie and pay it homage, learn from it, that sort of thing. It was great.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
I have
did
a
it.
feeling. No, I well, actually, almost every time we watch one of these great movies, we all realize that there's a reason people still talk about them. Like, there's something there.
Yeah, sometimes right? I'm like, why the fuck are people talking about this? This is not one of those.
The only time you have said that is about The Godfather, you stupid fuck. The only fucking time that we have ever fucking
everybody got it.
Dave, I know what you mean.
How hard is it to fucking Irish your camera?
God, shut the fuck up.
Oh, by the way, Godfather moved up the AFI list when the redo. It was originally number 3 behind Casablanca.
Jeff,
and they redid it. They moved it up because they heard of Dave.
Was that a wine bottle you were just holding? What the fuck's going on over there?
Did you just get off my ass? Get off my...
Have you got a mini bar set up just off camera?
I wish I had a mini bar set off camera. I have a Pana.
That's a good idea. Guy, I should start making martinis like during the show. Dave, I will raise you because I know exactly what you mean, dude. First of all, I got happy St. Patrick's Day. I got toasted last night by accident. So I sat down very late, a little fucking seeing double and put this movie on.
Wait, you told your now wife, you're like, I'm fucking beat, but I gotta go ahead and watch this hour and 53 1939 movie.
We were out together, so we both came home, and she just fucking went to sleep on the couch, and I was like, I guess I'll watch this fucking movie. And it was such a delight is the right word. Let me try to put this into even a different context. Especially when it came out. Just thinking about, we're joking and stuff, but what Jeff was talking about, thinking about what was happening in the world. I'm always interested when nostalgia pieces really explode and get a lot of acclaim, because this is a nostalgia piece. I mean, it really is. It is not only a cheap version of nostalgia, but it is kind of a look back over these ages of this man's life. And there are a lot of these touchstones that are kind of seen through his eyes, but might be related to his perspective on different generations of young men growing up in Britain. And this came out at a time when the world was fucking about to change again in a big way. I think that island and everybody who was in Western Europe was probably feeling an enormous amount of anxiety about what was happening in Western Europe.
Yeah, I should say, like, when I say it's a delight, the second half of this movie gets a little tense.
No. But dude, I know exactly what you mean. I could see that. I guess I'm saying all of that to say that when you put yourself in those shoes, and I don't even think you have to do that. I mean, Dave enjoyed it as is, and I did too, but I could easily see people going to all those movies that we talked about this year, which are fucking, there's so many good ones, and feeling like this one just made them happy. The others were dramatic and they're fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
And this one just felt like this, it has such a heart at the center of it. And so much of it is him. It's just a really wonderful character. But I think it's that you put this amazing person, there's almost like Mr. Rogers-y kind of gigantic, loving, positive human being at the center of a fulcrum of history. And you get to just kind of watch him observe and be a really good person throughout these crazy changing times, all the way up to losing a lot of young men and his students to fucking World War I.
Well, that's the thing.
Of course,
like this
people
whole
were
thing
thinking
is
about that,
packed with tragedy, but he stays positive and upbeat.
And so do the boys, dude.
Yeah, throughout all of it, and it's what carries everything through. Like there's absolute tragedy happening around him, but he keeps his chin up.
He keeps his chin up, and it's the educator's wet dream, right? It's like if you hated school, like watch this movie, and maybe you'll feel like this is what teachers want it to be like for children. The ones who really care want to try to have an impact. And I'm not going to go. Sorry, I want to pass it to you, Jeff, too. But Greer Garson's role is super short and super tiny in the context of this whole film, but they so very neatly and cleanly helped you realize that she helped him establish that behavior with the boys by having the Sunday tea times.
Yeah.
By having a much more
not Sunday tea times like the Players' Championship that Scotty Scheffler just won. Yeah, I mean, like literally tea on Sunday. Yes.
Yeah. Having the boys to his house and just getting to know them and becoming more than a teacher, becoming a mentor, becoming almost like a relative, so that generations of these young men, and this is something that I think a lot of Americans, unless you went to prep schools, probably don't relate to. But a lot of these, these kinds of schools where generations will come through the halls. Your dad and your granddad and your whatever went there, you're going there too. That for some reason it didn't. And maybe I'm fucking wrong here, but I felt a sweetness to that. I didn't feel like a reeking sense of privilege or anything. I saw him affecting a large amount of people over generations because he knew their fathers and grandfathers, not just because they were rich.
Yeah.
But because he had an impact on like an entire like family tree.
There's even a payoff of that as well.
The Collies. Yeah. Did the Collie thing at the end. Like we can get to that. Jeff, I don't know, man. What do you think, dude? I guess, sorry, last sentence. I could see people saying from that generation who grew up around this time, or they were young people or older people. I could see people saying this was my favorite movie. If you were around that time, that age when this movie came out, this could be people's when I'm sad, I put on Goodbye, Mr. Chips. This is my feel-good movie. That's what I thought watching it. How about you? Did you hate it?
No, I didn't. I'm so quiet. I did my talking at the beginning of this. I saw this today actually. It took me a little bit to get into it, and I will say part of it was because Robert did not sounded like Maggie Smith as an old man. It's like, oh boy, oh, you missed today's festivities too.
And you young boys.
I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding. But and then of course I was like, okay, well they said he was missing because he had a cold, but he doesn't have a cold. I'm just a little confused. It seems like they were it seemed a little like, I don't know. And I guess I knew about this. I was just very curious. I was very curious. This movie just keeps getting better and better. I feel like the second half of this movie, basically from Greer Garson on, and which is funny because when she enters, I was like thinking myself, like, are we in The Sound of Music all of a sudden?
That was a weird. That was a weird.
We just switched cute, quick. Yeah,
wasn't it? That was a strange.
That was really funny.
I thought she was like a premonition or something. Well, I didn't think she was real.
The tone. Why did they put a name on the grave? It said, "Here lies someone who once died here." And I was like, what the fuck? And it's like, you called me, and the mist, and it was so, but then their scene was so good. The whole thing was so good. And the way that they were affecting each other was like so necessary, because I loved the scene where, he's becoming his own and the kids are taking advantage of him. And in the first, day of his school.
Dude, that first class that he has is the best contraceptive on earth.
I had one of those. I worked at a public school as a music teacher during COVID, and the next year, I really hope they're not listening, because they were all good people. It's just the kids lost some socialization skills.
There's no way they were all good people, Jeff. There's just statistically speaking, there were a few little cunts in that fucking classroom, without a doubt.
They were kindergarten through second grade, so calling them little. But I saw a teacher crying in the stairwells in the first week, so it was like one of those kinds of things. It was tough. So I definitely thought when like one kid says like, "Hey, how about this? Hey," and then the whole fucking class goes in seconds. I definitely had some flashbacks there, which I suppose wrote me in for my hesitation to enjoy this film at the beginning. That certainly was like, I relate to this. And then the guy comes in, I want you to line up one by one in alphabetical order, 3 minutes apart tomorrow to get your lashings. And they just accept it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm very curious. But yeah, honestly, from Griegar
that's what's missing from modern education. Fucking lashings. Bro.
Everybody's entitled. I was entitled. I wanted to scream about DIFUS and call everybody, like all kids. The kids today, just for some reason, we let them get away with it because everything's so public. But they're not different. We all would have been just as entitled. I stand by that. And just like these fucking kids. These kids were ready to run ramsack over this teacher. Their fucking word. What did they say? They said, "Oh, he must be a new master. You can tell new masters are always smelly." Smelly. He didn't smell, but there's something about the way that he looked or behaved. They're like, he's smelly, and they just fucking jumped on him. But anyway, I love this movie so much, and I love the back half. I actually can't believe it kept getting better and better through the war stuff, which is, I mean, in 1939, how can you ignore war, whether it was World War II or World War I? And it was brilliant. I don't know why the headmaster was teaching class, but
perfectly. Like if you're going to touch on like the war and the effect of the war, it's literally life moving on, and then there's a weekly list of names of all your friends that all like people you know that have died
every week, right? It's so
crazy. And that, I mean, what else do you need?
I mean, it's so great. You just get on, and at the beginning of the year, you go to King's Cross Station, you get on the Hogwarts Express. Come on, tell me that the whole fucking scene, and then you go to the Great Hall, like it's.
Just imagine the floating candles that are like right here, and it's like the exact same image.
But seriously, in that same hall
even later, I got Harry Potter like from some of this.
When he's reading the Julius Caesar and he's saying it in funny ways, like almost kind of jokingly mocking the Germans, and they're all scared shitless, but they're laughing at his jokes while he's reading Julius Caesar. You're just like, it was so worth it. The whole movie was so worth it. And you know what else they do too? They get your heartstrings, because look, people die in movies. It happens all the time. You know it's coming. Because you know the ending, you know something's gonna, you know.
Well, he's coming, but Greer's got me. I did not expect.
But you knew she wasn't around.
Yeah, I know. I knew that I saw that coming, but when it came, it was still like they didn't really. They just kind of went, yeah, it's happened. Boom. And then then he went to class.
Then he goes to fucking class,
and
dude.
And starts, and oh my God, like just that one performance there was gut wrenching.
I wanted to mention that scene because I just finished making a short film, you guys, where I was dealing with like people in like an audience scenario and a person that everybody is focusing on scenario. And I just went through like this whole process of trying to figure out how to tell a story and when to like focus on people who are in an audience versus when to focus on somebody who's got the attention to create, you know, whatever tension or plausibility you're trying to create. That scene for me was so powerful because you're following his experience from the death of his wife, who he had just fucking married, folks, if you're listening. He had just fucking married her. The implication is that they had been together for just enough time for her to get married, which probably wasn't, get pregnant, which probably wasn't too long, and she fucking dies in childbirth. So does the child. And this man comes down the stairs and he's like, I'm going to go to class. And, you know, one of his peers is like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, I'm going to go. He walks into the classroom and he's, of course, not really present. And you think it's going to be about him.
And it's April Fool's Day as well.
It's April Fool's Day. Yeah. So the boys have played a prank on him where they send him all these blank letters and they're all sitting on his desk. But then this telephone game gets started by the boys.
Yeah.
And these close-ups of these little men, these little children, telling each other, whispering into each other's ear, and then turning around into these close-ups where all of them realize, and you see this one boy, like, he doesn't start crying, but he like turns and looks at Mr. Chips like, game over. One of ours was hurt. That was the kind of feeling I got. Yeah. It was the first like real fellowship that I felt them feel for him, because as we mentioned earlier, Greer Garson, when she was still alive, started having those boys over to their house on the weekends just to get to know them and to give them a place to come and have a good tea time and maybe a good meal and some cakes and shit like that. And they felt like one of theirs had, oh man, from there on, that is obviously like the moment that the boys and the school start seeing him as somebody very, very, very special, a real bright light in that school. And it just never really let down from there. This is not a complex, dramatic, edgy film by any means. It is spelled out for you very cleanly.
There's literally
a very long basic.
No antagonist. His life is the antagonist. That's it. There's no antagonist.
But what somehow seems to happen is that, and I'm sure it's in the novella too, it's in the story for sure, that there's an escalation of stressful obstacles in the real world that seem to press down more and more on this school that he's teaching in, and his relationships with the boys who are coming through the school become more important, significant, precious, and even just the way that we get to witness them becomes a little bit more intimate. I'm thinking of one very specifically when he's finally asked to be headmaster during the war.
Yeah.
And there's this boy who was clearly causing some issues, so he came to the headmaster's office, and Shipping's like, I joked about it at the beginning, but he's like, bend down over that chair, and he gives him a few lashings, and then he says, so, you know, what was it? And he's talking to him man to man. He's like, why are you acting this way? And he's like, because all of the masters here are basically, they're all fucking pussies for not going to fight in the war, and you guys aren't real men. And Chips basically just clarifies and talks to him mano a mano, not in a condescending way, and says every single person who could sign up did sign up. That's why I'm here, because they you know, everybody did what they could, and so don't judge them for that. And the boy there's just this like clarity in the boy where he's like, I didn't realize that. Thank you for telling me the truth.
Yeah, after whipping his ass.
Man, I don't know. There's some kind of intimacy that got created over time that almost does seem like fairy tale version of what a teaching experience could be, but it still made me feel.
I actually encountered. Gotcha.
Sure.
Got him in the feels.
I actually encountered a teacher like this when I was in high school. And he's like, because I was taking all like computer programming, that sort of stuff. He encouraged me to go into drama and to write and do creative writing assignments and stuff. And he worked with me a lot and stuff like that. And he was Mr. Maloney, his name was. It was a very inspiring influence on my life. And that kind of brought back the memory of this guy who I hadn't thought about in years as well, watching this.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because
he whipped your ass and then sat you down and said,
if he hadn't like driven me to do that, I probably would not be sitting in this chair right now in New York.
Yeah,
give it up for the teachers, dude. Jeff's teaching right now. There was several, years.
I can't believe people let Jeff near their children.
Oh, I'm sure he's great.
especially after subscribing to this podcast.
I wanted to be a teacher for quite a while in like middle school and high school. I was so inspired by some of my favorite teachers. I was like, there are few positions in life that are built into your experience while you're growing up. And if you have a great teacher, nobody ever forgets they're great teachers.
Yeah.
They touch everybody, especially if you're a good student, you're passionate. I guess the last thing I wanted to just mention was that I enjoyed the meta aspect, and I hate that word, and I think it gets overused nowadays, but you're very aware that you're watching a man's memory the whole time. There's no wool over anybody's eyes about that. But at the very end of the movie, when they finally are honoring him, he stands up and says, I'm going to misquote, this Latin's going to be terrible. But he basically says, well, remember me sometimes, because I shall always remember you. Hayek olim memenise ivwabit. And I need not translate that for you. This man taught Latin in dead languages. And it's translated to, in the future, it will be pleasing to remember these things. And this little speech he gives right before that segment, where he basically says what we just got to watch, that you boys, as I retire, you boys have given me something that I'll never be able to put a price on. I'm just going to enjoy looking back on my times. And he says that great line about, when you come up to me and I hesitate, it's not because I won't remember who you are, but it's because I remember you as young men. And I'm going to just be thinking about where you are now. And he looks over at one of the collies, who's like another master now. And he's like, you'll always be the little boy who gave me shit on my first day. And I cannot imagine what that must feel like with Jeff, your teacher right now, with the burnout rates of our average public school teacher of like less than 5 years. I feel like it's really turned into something completely different than the lifetime educator that used to be for, hundreds of years. I don't know. This got me, man. This touched me.
And when they say things like, silence, silence, I'll have no more of it. No more silence, sir. It's like that little Monty Python kind of sketch that comes into this. But every teacher's sitting there is like, you pieces of shit are so fucking clever. Yeah.
I will tell you, the one thing that surprised me about this movie that I didn't see coming, well, two things. There were two things that surprised me. One was it's fucking funny. And the comedy still holds up. Like, the jokes aren't spoon-fed. Like, you have to find them. They drop them and leave. Like, there's not it's like, here's the joke. This is a comedy movie. But like, they gag with when he thinks it's the woman that he's just met, and he sees the bikes. And he's like, yeah, I know her.
That's
Go
funny.
and get her. This really stern fucking matron walks out and ups him for saying that he knows her. And it's all awkward and shit like that. I laughed out loud. Like, that comedy gag still works now, almost 100 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just brilliant.
There was some like borderline Monty Python type voice like stuff that I bet you took out of this. Yeah. Can we talk about the director for a second?
Yes, and talk about the directors, because that's going to segue into one of my favorite quotes in the whole movie. So yeah, please tell the world about fucking Sam Wood.
So Sam Wood,
what actually happened to that son of a bitch? So what did he do?
I'll just say Sam Wood became committed to the anti-communist movement and gave fucking names to McCarthy. Let's just put it that way. Let's just say fucking.
That's the gentlest way. I feel like he was a part of the reason it began.
Yeah. So it's funny. This is dedicated to Irving Thalberg. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Thalberg.
Who was Jewish himself, but also said like, Hitler's not so bad. Like, it's totally fine. Nothing's gonna happen to us. Now, of course, he died before the Holocaust and everything. But in 1943, so we know damn well what's going on. Sorry, Sam Wood, our director, exhibited his beliefs out loud, and he said the anti-fascist content in For Whom the Bell Tolls, he took out of the movie because he said it would have been the same love story on both sides. This is in 1943. He took out Hemingway's anti-fascist ideology, and he's like, well, they could have been fascists. That's how fucking fascist he was. He lobbied the House Un-American Activities Committee to examine purported communist elements in the movie industry, which they did in 1947. And he tried to force people out, and he literally died. This is true. He died in 1949. Because of two things. Number one, he was filming some movie at 9,000 feet on location, but also a screenwriter was suing him for libel for leaking his name and slandering him for being what he called a communist. And he got so mad that he had a stress heart attack. And he died in 1949 at a pretty young age. And then his will was opened. And this is the best fucking part of his whole story. Sam Wood's will opened. And he added a condition to his will that no one, including his children, could collect their inheritance until they filed legal affidavits affirming that they have never been communists. So if they had attended one communist party, they could not get their inheritance from him. That's how staunch of an anti-communist he was, on top of giving names and being a McCarthy, part of the ally. Fucking Sam Wood, the director of Goodbye, Mr. Chips. How funny is that? You don't see any of that in this movie. I thought I was going to see it. I didn't see any of it.
I know, dude. It's fucking crazy. I was thinking about this the whole time, folks, as we told you, like Jeff fucking texted us these things like cold out of the blue, like the day after we picked this movie. And I was like, who's Sam Wood? I kind of took me a second where I was like, who's he even talking about? So I went into this also expecting like, where's the messaging for fucking capitalism? Hooray. And it just, it's not really present here. And I want to read, if I may, there's one like real message scene in this movie that I think it could be the absolute kind of nutshell of what Mr. Chips lives and stands for. And it's when he goes into the new headmasters. He's like an older man now. And the guy's like, Chips, you got to retire, dude. You're old as fuck. And you're not getting with the times. And he's like, fuck you. And he walks out.
Yeah.
And he says, I know the world's changing. This is Mr. Chips. I know the world's changing. I've seen the old traditions die one by one. Grace, dignity, feeling for the past. All that matters here today are fat banking accounts. You're trying to run the school like a factory for turning out money-making, machine-made snobs. You've raised the fees. And in the end, the boys who really belong at Brookfield will be frozen out. Frozen out. Modern methods, intensive training, poppycock. Give a boy a sense of humor and a sense of proportion, and he'll stand up to anything. That does not sound like the message of a man who would eventually name fucking every fucking peer he had ever worked with.
Disinherit his kids.
His kids.
What is going on? I don't understand. What happened to him? What happened to you, Sam? Who hurt you?
His daughter said
touched me.
His daughter said his anti-communist anger was so deep he seethed with it, and I believe it affected his health.
That was my favorite quote. He said this. His
daughter said that. His daughter said, she probably signed the affidavit and was like, fucking dad.
He's seethed with it.
He seethed with it. His anger is so deep, he seethed with it. But yeah, you're right. That whole idea. Why would I teach him Latin wrong? These snobs. These money-making snobs.
Oh my
so
God.
good.
That is so fucking funny. I mean, it goes to show you, I think I jokingly said he's the Clint Eastwood of his time. Like,
yeah.
You know what? Despite Sam Wood's best efforts, I guess he was an artist who still found some truth in this story, because something tells me Mr. Chips would not have outed his friends. Like, I just...
Yeah, it's always good when you can separate your fascism and your art.
Yeah. If Max had actually turned into Ernst from Cabaret, I don't think he would have outed him. And that was if he was a fascist.
Couple of random thoughts. Did anybody notice at the start of this that the MGM lion from back then looks a little rough around the edges, like they're not feeding it properly or something?
He's pretty skinny, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
not
half a lion. It's like they just get one from like retired.
Have you ever seen that
from a zoo or something?
In the history photographed handle on Instagram? Have you ever seen that picture of him filming that thing?
Yeah.
He's kind of shaking. He's like 4 feet away from this. Is like a 50 millimeter lens. He is right in front of this fucking camera. They're all just standing there.
Guys, let's use the 300 for this. And two you stand between us.
Honestly, dude. Yeah. Not beefy, is he? So this was a Warner Brothers film. So that does explain why. Thank you for saying that. Why I'm sure Sam directed most of this movie. But without a doubt, the other dude could have just walked on while he was at some capitalist rally. Fucking
he was at
beating on chairs.
He's beating on what? He was at the Hollywood Republican Committee meetings that were going on at the time. But he's probably doing Gone with the Wind still. And they're like, "Fuck, what about Goodbye, Mr. Chips?" And they're like, "We could have some motherfucker film this train."
Honestly, dude.
The other thing I noticed is like movie dialogue from that time. I hate it. I hate movie dialogue from that time because they always deliver it in this weird tone and everything. That's one of the reasons I don't like old movies because of the way they deliver the lines. This
kind of presentational acting style.
This wasn't like this. Like, you could have turned the picture off and this could have been a play, like a radio play.
Yeah, I think so.
And in fact, I think at one stage it was actually released as a radio play, but like the whole thing, like the dialogue was descriptive enough. You didn't need the imagery for most of the film.
That scene,
and
the scene, especially the scene where they meet on the mountain.
Yeah,
the whole scene that could be a one act. Just that scene.
It was gorgeous, and we've talked about this before, where how do you elevate or adapt really dialogue-driven pieces that may have done well as a book form or a play form into a movie? Like, how do you use the medium to do that? And even though I totally agree with you, Dave, I know what you mean. I was just so impressed by their use of visual language that was like incredibly simple. Like those this on the whiteboard when we're saying we're gonna do this here, I could see us being like, is that too cheesy? These montages of boys coming up and saying their names as though like a new generation is coming, a new class is coming. The way they kept going back to moments like that, and just these wonderful shots of these wide shots of all these boys in classrooms or at the food hall. And I don't know, it really, in their little village, I felt like they ended up doing more than just pointing a camera at really well-written dialogue and an actor at the center of it. I felt like there was a montage that was kind of created and it ran throughout.
Like there were times when they embraced the vision of and used the camera to great effect, but there was also a lot of the scenes where it could have just played out as something you heard on the radio. Like the dialogue was that rich.
That scene, it is something that I'm not saying I miss it and we should only go back to doing this, but the way that people were so nurtured because film was still so young at the time, that first scene where she has them over for tea, you basically it's a proscenium. You basically just park that fucking camera in a medium wide. You got like several boys in the foreground. He's over here to the right in his fucking chair smoking his pipe and she's floating around in the background talking to the boys. And we just sat there for like 5 minutes. And they had a scene, and it was lovely.
And yet, there's other scenes where, like, the camera's at the back of the room, and it pushes in around a table out a window, and stuff like that. And I sat there and I thought about it when I saw that. I'm like, they just fucking moved the camera. Do you know how big a fucking camera is in the 30s? Like that was not an easy.
Can you imagine the track on that? Yeah, fucking crazy, dude. I mean, same year as again Gone with the Wind and shit, and Wizard of Oz, where the camera movement was like bonkers crazy what they were doing.
That's something you had to like warn people you were going to do.
Oh yeah, months of planning, right? I mean, gigantic, a big deal to move the camera around back then. But yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. This is one. Thank you guys for letting us watch it. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is not my favorite movie of the year. I tend to gravitate more towards the more dramatic, heavier pieces, which this year has got a lot of them, or even A Wizard of Oz that's more absurd and more dreamlike, and you're like, what the hell is going on? But I could totally understand why this might be their favorite movie of the year. If you were coming around then, it's gentle but effective.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic without being too sentimental. And there's a really great performance at the center of it. I think I would have voted for James Stewart if I was voting that year in the Academy. I think he gives a pitch perfect performance as Mr. Smith. But I get why people had such a soft spot for this film. And it's probably worth watching if you've never seen it.
Jimmy Stewart doesn't age 63 years throughout the course of the picture.
That's true.
As a 34-year-old. The guy's 34 in this film.
Did this make you want to teach at a fucking boarding school in Britain, or
not at all?
Does it give you
not
the
beginning?
No.
In Britain, at boarding school, just teach at a boarding school, Britain. Although that scene that what she was saying to him about like the boys' school and how you would never get old in a world so young. You know, like if teaching at school, it was cool. It was touching. It was touching.
Come on, yeah, it's touching.
One thing I did notice there were a lot of shots there where the gate, like I guess they didn't think to check the gate till later, and there were so many hairs in the bottom sides and tops of shots. It's like, why do they always look like pubes? Like, there's no...
I don't know. They're too straight to be pubes. I don't know what
it's just this one curl fucking hair there. And it's like, that's not off anyone's head.
That's the conversation we
they checked the gate every fucking time and they still were just like, we just don't have any money.
Yeah. Let's get it out. I'm not touching it. Yeah.
Look, get your parasols
and you do this camera.
Get your parasols, get your cricket bats. Get online. Go watch this fucking movie. Also, my favorite quote, by the way, last thing, apart from the fact that they talked about like the boys coming over for tea as orgies, that was pretty strange for me. But she says, why aren't you afraid to talk to me? And she goes, because I'm a strong-minded female who rides a bicycle and wants the vote. I was like, those are my best lines of the movie.
I get another moment where I was like,
strong-ass woman. Yeah, we got a strong-ass bitch. Yeah, fuck yeah, get in there.
And that director immediately turned her in.
And
when she kisses him before she gets on the train, he's like,
oh, that was so badass. You kissed me, yeah. And she made the fucking move. He wouldn't make the move. And she's like, I'm making the goddamn move.
And not only did she do that, remember, he says to his friend, I may never see her again. And his friend's like, she already made wedding arrangements, bro. Let's go. We're celebrating.
Oh,
she already told me I'm your best man. She already booked this fucking chapel.
Oh, it's so good.
What a bad bitch. Yeah, good God, man. Man, that was awesome.
Okay, that's it. I didn't want to say that. It fucked me up. All right. Dave, you ready to spin? All right, friends, this is the time of the episode where we spin the random year generator to let us know what we're going to be talking about next week on the show. But we're not going to give you the name of the actual film until the very end of this year episode, so you got to stick through what you've been watching. Dave, let's spin. Up, back to the 1900s. Oh, is it a 9 or a 6? 9 or a 6? It's a 9. 1990. 1990. Oh!
Ooh.
Let's go. 1990.
All right. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
We'll talk about it.
Guys, I've been drinking this
what is this shit?
hard kombucha because I keep forgetting to go to the store and get more beer. This stuff's got a lot of alcohol in it, dude.
Yeah, you think?
It's fucking, it's fucking strong.
Hard kombucha. All right. Dave,
kombucha.
we'd like to start with you. What you been watching?
This week I watched Wonka.
Okay.
How was it?
If you like the original Gene Wilder, you're probably going to enjoy this.
Interesting.
The
dude,
songs,
my brother said the same thing.
Yeah, the
dude.
songs
He
are kind of
liked it.
clever. The thing is, what this is suffering from is the worst fucking trailer in the world.
Oh. Okay.
Everything they showed
I had
you.
no desire to see it.
Everything they showed you was Timothée Chalamet just acting weird out of context. Everything, like every little bit of it has a reason, and Christmas was the perfect time to release this because it's again, like Mr. Chips, it's one of those uplifting kind of films, and like when it finally gets to the end, you get rewarded with the payoff of. I won't go into what exactly happens, but it's well worth watching right to the end.
Okay.
Olivia Colman plays one of the funniest roles I've ever seen her play.
Olivia
She's a
Colman,
treasure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fucking treasure.
Fucking
like it's on I think it's on Max now.
Max.
Yeah,
it's on Max.
Watch it if you like the original, not the Johnny Depp creepy remake. If you like the original, you will probably love this.
Wow.
Thought I got away with it.
Right.
Damn it.
All right.
Very good.
All right.
I
John?
watched all of that miniseries that came out a few years ago with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. What the fuck is his name?
Hugh Grant's the Oompa Loompa.
Is that his name? No.
What are you talking about?
God damn it! It's called The Undoing. Not Hugh Grant. Well, yeah, is that his name from? Oh my God, you guys!
Downton Abbey?
What the fuck is his name? No.
What else is he in?
Yeah, Hugh Grant. Yeah, come on. You guys know Hugh Grant.
Yeah, we know Hugh Grant.
Yeah, he was in Wonka.
Yeah. I've been saying Hugh Grant. And
He was the Oompa Loompa in Wonka.
Who the fuck is...
Wonka.
Oh, come on. Love Actually, Four Weddings and a Funeral,
Yes,
Notting Hill.
we know
About a Boy.
who Hugh Grant
Yes,
is.
we absolutely.
Okay.
You just didn't commit to the bit.
You guys know who...
You
Grant?
said, is it Hugh Grant? Is that how you say his name? I'm
Grant,
like,
right?
I didn't know. You're like, is that how you say his name? Is that how you pronounce it? Is it Grant? Is that, I don't know. It's Hugh fucking Grant.
I think his name is Hugh fucking Grant.
Notting Hill. 4 Weddings
By
and
the
a
way-
fucking funeral, I think.
And how amazing was it, Jeff? Didn't you and I fall back in love with him with Florence Foster Jenkins? Like how fucking good he was. He was in that with
Yeah.
Meryl Streep when she plays that crazy socialite. Anyway,
He was fucking
The
awesome.
Undoing.
He's also great in
I
Paddington too.
Paddington too. All right.
Oh, that's the
I was
other.
late to the party on
Yeah.
The Undoing. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a great miniseries. I finished Masters of the Air. Tears. I fucking it got me, dude. I love that shit so much.
I forgot to watch the finale this week. Damn it. Fuck.
Yeah,
Get
you
some
know,
tissues.
and you know who directs the finale, Jeff?
Tom?
Tim Van Patten.
Tim
They
Van
brought in
Patten.
the man.
Tim Van
They
Patten.
were like,
Tim Van
let's fucking
Patten.
bring him
Tim
in here
Van
so he can
Patten.
fucking
The director of
Reeves
the pilot
directed-
of Game of Thrones. Let's go.
and Sopranos and Boardwalk, and he's the fucking man, dude. Dee Reese directed several of the episodes in the middle of Masters of the Air. She fucking killed it. It was so good. Yeah, very emotional. I loved that, and we are caught up on the new look, and I just can't say it enough. I think everybody give it a chance, you guys. Just watch it and tell me if you're enjoying it. I really like that show.
It almost,
Apple TV Plus.
It almost popped on recently. Almost.
Okay, well, that's what I watched. I had a good time. How about you?
Tim and Patton has 2 Emmys. What do you think they're for?
Game of Thrones and Sopranos.
He actually won for I don't know.
All right. Good stuff. That's great. Good job.
Why do they move it? Why do they move Emmys around in this shit? Where do they move it? Okay, so I'd never seen before the Lindsay Lohan fucking Parent Trap. Really touching, man. It really fucking touched me.
Wait. Hold on a second.
I had never seen it before.
You don't get to just glide past that. Wait, hold on. Why did you watch that? How old are you? Hold on a second. What made you put that on?
I'm in love.
Sure, it's not even a love story.
I don't know. Look, these things happen sometimes. It's on this. You pop it on and then you get hooked. I don't know.
No. You sought that out. That was not just sitting somewhere on TV and you're
guys,
like,
it's a great
wakes up in the morning.
movie.
Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, I would have watched Lindsay Lohan, The Parent Trap.
I'm gonna do a reverse Parent Trap for you two. I'm gonna go and get in. I'm gonna fucking throw a wrench in between you two fuckers.
Jeff, who plays the dad? Who plays the dad in that one?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. Thank you. Okay.
That's a fantastic movie.
Continue.
It was Randy Quaid, whole different movie.
Tim Van Patten won for directing Boardwalk Empire and for miniseries of producing the Pacific. Okay.
Oh shit. Cool.
I don't know. I watched a bunch of shit. I'm like caught up in a lot of shit. I just didn't finish Masters of the Air, and I can't wait to do it next week. And I saw Dune 2 again in theaters, as we talked about.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's pretty good. That's good. All right, let's move on.
Let's take a break.
So we're going to take a 2-second break, listen to some Dasein, and we are going to tell you what we're going to be talking about from the year 1990. We've already talked about ghosts and some other shit, but something different this time.
Something different this time. And we're back.
And we're back. All right,
We made
people.
it back.
So many good movies to talk about. We have Misery, Edward Scissorhands, Home Alone, Pretty Woman, Dances with Wolves, My Neighbor Totoro, Glory, Red October, and then a whole bunch of ones we already talked about. Ghost, Back to the Future Part 3, Die Hard 2. Guys, are we doing any of those? No. We have decided
not just because
with,
you said Edward Scissorhands really weird.
We decided to prop up a movie that won 0 Oscars. 0 Oscars.
0 Oscars. Unbelievable.
0 Oscars. And we decided that it needs a little bit of love. It needs a little attention. So we're doing Goodfellas. Ha! People.
Did he disappear
Hulu.
for you as well?
Yeah. I think he clipped his mic out so hard
compressed.
and just dropped it.
Yeah, nobody. It just said fellas. That's what it said.
We're doing
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
We are doing Martin Scorsese. He needs us to talk about his 1990 classic.
Oh, wait,
Nobody else is talking
film?
about
No, wait,
it.
I've changed my mind.
And the big draw here, folks, is that come back next week where Dave watches for the first time in his entire fucking life. Goodfellas. How have you never seen that movie?
Have you ever seen Goodfellas? All right, next week. Can't wait to see you there, film fans. Peace!
Peace!